The Trans-Pacific Partnership, or the TPP as it's commonly known, is a potential destroyer. Now we're going to provide examples of the issues that we have with this agreement over the coming weeks, and here's the first, which we believe highlights a very real danger to our future and prosperity. Now recently 300 Chinese buyers have been chauffeured around the Townsville Charters Towers region looking to invest in cattle stations to help feed 1 billion people in China. So how do the Chinese see this buying of Australian land working from their perspective?
If all goes according to plan, Mr Ma would raise cattle on a Chinese-owned farm, process the cattle in Charters Towers at a Chinese-owned plant, transport it to a Chinese-controlled wharf in Townsville, and ship it all back home on Chinese-owned ships.
Does this sound like a good deal for Australia so far? Well, unfortunately it doesn't seem to get much better.
Negotiated along with our new free trade agreement with China, 5,000 Chinese workers can get jobs in Australia.
Right here's where we are getting very concerned, because Australia seems to have grabbed the short end of this stick, and I'm not comforted by the assurances from the Chinese delegate either.
Never be scared.
1, 2, 3.
Now, we don't fear the Chinese. We welcome trade and opportunities from overseas, but we do not welcome the sale of our soil and industries to foreign owners who intend to exclude Australians from the entire process. After all, if China owns the land, cattle, slaughterhouse, trucks, the port and the shipping, and they can even bring in their own 457 people to run it, then where are the opportunities here for profits for Australian workers and their families? Do we think beef sales in Australia won't suffer? The cost won't rise at home? Of course they will. In fact, they already are. Now, it's been stated that we can't meet the demands we face from the global community wanting a share of our beef market, as stock numbers are too low and much of Australia is in drought conditions and may be for a very long time yet. And do we honestly think we're going to see 1 red cent of sales tax for beef if it's sold in China? It's more likely to be a repeat of that 25 billion in corporate dollars we watched fly away tax-free not so very long ago. And the TPP also shows the LNP's vision for selling off Australia and our future along with the land and industries. But to be fair, the ALP has a lot of questions they'll answer in this matter too. After all, the TPP began in 2003, now that's 12 years ago, and for 7 of those 12 years the ALP was not only in government, but they had access to these terms of trade. In fact, they helped draft them. So why didn't they prevent this takeover strategy from ever being created in the first place? Under this agreement, our industries face full foreign ownership, with no jobs for Australians and no profits, as the sales mostly will happen on the other side of the globe. Now, does that truly sound like a future that you would have voted for had it not been deliberately kept hidden from our view by both sides of the government? So think about it. Our financial security, employment opportunities and standard of living actually do depend on us speaking out louder than we ever have before against what is looking like a very real threat. Now, the Labor Coalition, we say no to the Trans-Pacific Partnership when we say no to 457 workers when their unemployment is high and still climbing, and we say no to any party that supports policies that permit this sort of harm from occurring. And quite frankly, well, so should you.
So they own the farm, they own the sale yards, they own the transportation.
That's right.
No Australians needed. Is that what you're saying?
Needed. No Australians needed, and that's a major concern.
Down below you'll find a link to our party page, core beliefs and our platforms. If you're tired of being told what you can have rather than being asked what it is that you really need, consider joining the Labor Coalition, get a real voice and help us to stand up for what's right and what's fair.